Deep beneath the majestic snow-capped peaks of the Misty Mountains, where the legendary Khazad-dûm once glittered with the light of silver lamps and the rhythmic strike of hammers, there lies a darkness that has no name. To the dwarves of Durin's folk, Moria was a realm of unmatched splendor, a city of many pillared halls and stone-carved arches. But even in their pride, the dwarves knew of a limit, a depth beyond which even the hardiest delver feared to go. Welcome to Echoes of Middle-earth, where today we are descending past the mines of mithril, past the foundations of the mountains, to explore the most unsettling mystery in all of Arda, the terrifying origin of the Nameless Things. These are entities so ancient and horrific that Gandalf the Grey, who faced a Balrog in the uttermost pits, refused to speak of them, for fear his report would darken the light of day.
To understand what lies at the roots of the world, we must first look at the unique tragedy of Moria. For ages, the dwarves delved deeper and deeper, driven by their fierce and jealous love for beautiful things made by hand and magic. Their wealth was built upon mithril, the Moria silver that was 10 times the value of gold and never tarnished. Yet it was this very greed that led to their destruction. In the middle of the Third Age, while seeking a lode of mithril beneath the peak of Barad-dûm, they disturbed a thing of terror that had lain hidden since the First Age, a Balrog of Morhath. This demon, known as Durin's Bane, drove the dwarves from their ancestral home, leaving the vast mansions dark and empty.
However, the Balrog was not the only dweller in those lightless depths. When Gandalf later recounted his survival of the fall from the bridge of Khazad-dûm, he revealed a terrifying truth. As he fell through fire and death into the abyss, he reached the uttermost foundations of stone. There, he discovered that the Balrog, once a spirit of fire, had become a thing of slime, stronger than a strangling snake in the icy waters of the deep. It was here that the wizard witnessed the true inhabitants of the mountain's roots. He spoke of dark tunnels, not made by Durin's folk, but by creatures that gnaw the world. Most chillingly, Gandalf stated that even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he.
This statement creates a profound chronological paradox. Sauron is a Maya, one of the Ainur who existed before the world was created. If these things are older than a being who preceded the material universe, how can they exist? The answer may lie in the music of the Ainur, the primordial song that fashioned the world. During this music, Melkor, the original Dark Lord, introduced a discord seeking to weave his own selfish imaginings into the theme of the Creator. This discord resulted in many things being hue and shape other than the Valar had at first intended. In the spring of Arda, when the world was first being shaped, dark creatures old and strong arose in the valleys of the night-clad hills. These things were born of the corruption of the world's very fabric, the marring of Melkor that touched every stone and stream.
The Nameless Things are likely physical manifestations of this original discord, beings that crawled out of the night of the void or were spawned in the deep pits of Melkor's earliest fortresses like Utumno. While Sauron was an architect and a master of wills, these creatures represent a primal, mindless hunger. They are not part of any army, they serve no master, they are simply there, existing in a state of resentful remembering and nasty, furtive eating. Even the Balrog, a captain of Morgoth, only knew of their tunnels and used them to escape the wizard's wrath, indicating that even a demon of the ancient world viewed these things as environmental hazards rather than allies. We see a potential nameless thing earlier in the journey of the Fellowship, waiting at the west gate of Moria. The Watcher in the Water is described as a vast menace with 20 pale green, luminous and sinuous tentacles that rose from the seething lake. Gandalf noted that this entity had been driven out of dark waters under the mountains, and that there are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. The stench of the creature was a hideous stench, a reek of filth unnameable that also characterized the tunnel leading to Shelob's lair.
The connection to Shelob and her ancestor Ungoliant is vital here. Ungoliant was a spirit of darkness who disowned her master, Melkor, desiring to be mistress of her own lust and to feed her emptiness. She existed in the black shadows of Abathar, a place where light was strangled and night always had been. Her offspring, like Shelob, were vessels of terror that cared nothing for rings or towers, desiring only a glut of life and to weave webs of shadow. The nameless things beneath Moria share this trait of isolated, self-serving malice. They are the leftovers of an era of chaos, things that outstayed their day in the dark recesses of the earth. Consider the environment they inhabit, the foundations of stone. This is a place where time is not counted, a realm of utter and impenetrable dark, where the air is stagnant, heavy, and sound falls dead. It is a black vapor wrought of veritable darkness itself. In such a place, senses like sight and hearing become numb, and only the force of the will allows a traveler to move forward. For a being of light like Gandalf, walking among things that have gnawed the world for uncounted ages was an experience of such profound despair that he would not recount it to his closest friends.
The terror of these things is amplified by their anonymity. In the lore of the Eldar, names are power. To name a thing is to understand its place in the history of the world. But the nameless things have no place in the old lists of living creatures that the Ents speak of. They were not intended to be. They are the discordant ingredient of the universe. This is why they are older than Sauron's knowledge. They were part of the random, chaotic feedback of Melkor's rebellion, whereas Sauron was a structured, purposeful spirit of the original music. One must also wonder if these things were what the orcs of the Misty Mountains were referring to in their terrifying songs. When the orcs captured Bilbo and the dwarves, they sang of a down to Goblin Town, where dark things sleep in places where no man delves. While the orcs are cruel, wicked, and bad-hearted, they themselves were afraid of the unknown power that Gandalf manifested in the cave, and they seldom went near the edges of the dark water because they had a feeling that something unpleasant was lurking down there, down at the very roots of the mountain. Even for the servants of darkness, the nameless things represent a depth of horror that is beyond description. The existence of these entities serves as a grim reminder that Middle-earth is a dying land that still holds the shadow of the great darkness from the First Age. While the Third Age was defined by the struggle against Sauron, the roots of the world remained infested with the rot of a much older evil. These were the ghosts that drank blood and the monsters that outstayed their day in the forgotten mountain roots. When we look upon the history of Arda, we see a world that must eventually be broken and remade to purge the marring of Melkor. The Dagor-Dagorath, the last battle at the end of days, is foretold in the stars by the constellation Menelmacar. It is only in that final hour, when the sun passes and the moon falls, that the secrets of the Silmarils will be revealed and the world will be cleansed of its ancient cancers. Until then, the nameless things continue to gnaw in the silence, a testament to the idea that the greatest terrors are often the ones the wise choose to leave in the dark.
Gandalf's refusal to bring a report of these things back to the light of day was an act of mercy for the free folk of Middle-earth. He understood that the war against Sauron required hope, and the knowledge of the world-gnawers would only breed a paralyzing despair. He chose instead to remain the trumpet voice and the burning brand that rekindled hearts, focusing his strength on the one mightier than the nine who had passed through the abyss and returned as the White Rider. As we conclude our descent into the roots of Moria, we are left with the chilling image of a wizard and a Balrog, two titans of the elder days, fleeing through tunnels they did not make, surrounded by entities they could not master.
The echoes of Middle-earth are not always the songs of heroes or the brilliance of jewels. Sometimes they are the trailing shriek and the gurgling, bubbling noise of things that have waited in the dark since the first discordant note of the world's creation.
Thank you for joining us for this investigation into the dark foundations of Tolkien's world here on Echoes of Middle-earth. If you want to continue exploring the hidden histories and profound mysteries of Arda, make sure to like and subscribe as we continue our quest through the legends of the wise and the brave. Until the stars shine again on our meeting, may your path be lit by the light of the West, and may you never delve too greedily or too deep.